Hello, Crypto Cats. We have something very different for you today. We're actually going to be doing an interview, and I'm delighted to be joined today with the eight-limbed cephalopod wizard himself, the Poktopus, and the extremely talented creator of the NFT project, Pocket Rockets, Mark, also known as Rust. How are you gentlemen doing today?
I'm awesome. It's early in the morning, having my first coffee and starting the day with an interview.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great. Thanks, Tom. Opposite for me, I'm in Australia, so it's about 2 a.m. here, and I can't touch a coffee or I won't get back to bed.
We really are straddling three time zones. I'm sitting in the middle in European time here in Spain at the moment. All right. So what we're going to chat, obviously, today, we're really going to be having a conversation about three different sections, starting off chatting about pocket networks, obviously, to some extent. And then we're going to have a little look at Pocket Pool, the community pool that allows democratization of Pocket, small investors to be able to get involved with Pocket, which is what I like about that. And then the cherry on top really is going to be talking about the exciting NFT project Pocket Rockets and going into that and some of the utility and functionality of that I really like. That sets it apart from a lot of the noisy nonsense NFT projects out there, in my opinion. All right. So yeah, I guess across our three time zones, Pocket is what brings us together today. And there's a lot of different crypto projects out there, but what is it about Pocket? Why this one project that, why this one that has really kind of grabbed you? What is it about Pocket for you? Who wants to jump in first?
I'll start with that. I mean, Pocket isn't cute like some dog-based tokens. It doesn't have the super sexy aspect of 4,000x multiplier in 39 days or any of the rest of that. It's nuts and bolts. It's infrastructure. When you look at the fact that all of crypto relies on RPC lookups to pass data around about the various states of chains and to request values, there has to be an underlying infrastructure that connects all of that. And a lot of crypto right now is built out on centralized services that have the ability to shut you off with the flick of a button, that have the ability to ban you or censor you based on your IP address or your country or things along that line. And Pocket changes all of that. It decentralizes RPC access to these blockchains to thousands and thousands of independent node runners around the world that make sure that data stays flowing regardless. And it does it in a really affordable way. That's the other thing about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree and say that it's definitely not cute or sexy. I was at an NFT conference 2 weeks ago, just sort of talking about what we're doing and had to sort of give a spiel on Pocket. And I think once you start mentioning Web3 infrastructure, I literally saw people glaze over. But it does provide like a pretty fundamental thing for sort of Web3 itself. I kind of got into it from a investing background. Maybe about a year ago, I sort of went all in on crypto and researching it and trying to find which of the chains I liked. And there is a lot of noise out there, not just in NFTs, but in sort of crypto projects in general. And it's, impossible to try and pick the right one. And I think I can't remember who said it, but there's kind of a famous saying, and I'll probably butcher it, but it's sort of in a gold rush, sell shovels, rather than trying to go look for gold yourself. And I remember when I first came across Pocket Network, they were just signing every chain that I knew of, sort of, the Harmonies, Solanas, AVAX, Algorand. They kept signing all these companies up. And admittedly at the time, I didn't know much about RPC relays or anything like that, but sort of started looking into it then. And it definitely ticks a lot of boxes from an investment point of view of trying to get a relatively what I view as a sure thing, although not investment advice. I always have to clarify. That's sort of what drew it to me originally.
I really like that. And I think it marries with how I feel about it, that it's so exhausting in the crypto space to be second guessing which project's going to win. And then when you can just swim upriver, and then you can swim upriver to the blockchains, and then you can go further upriver to Pocket and infrastructure that captures the upside. And it stops the FOMO of having to chase the specific projects and allows you to actually celebrate the broader success of every project. It's like you can support every single team because the whole growth of the space is what benefits Pocket. So yeah, I think
we talked a lot about level 0 providers, and yeah, I think a good example of that recently is DeFi Kingdoms has been expanding out beyond Harmony to launch on AVAX subnet now as well. And people asked how that would impact Pocket, and it's like, we don't really have a preference about which chains they're building on and playing on. We're under all of that. We support Avalanche, we support Harmony, we support all of those.
Absolutely. And then to put our bear hats on, what do you see? What can stop this success? Like, what do you see? What roadblocks do you see? Like challenges that Pocket could face to? Because for me, it looks like success is inevitable. But what am I missing?
I think it's just one of those things. Pocket has already hit a strong proof of concept, and I did a tweet thread recently about the fact that this is all essentially a public beta. I mean, obviously they wouldn't call it that, but it's not even to V1. We're in the VO7X series now. VO8X is coming out soon. This is the first major iteration of Pocket, and there are significant improvements coming at the end of this cycle in V1 that are fundamentally going to change a lot of the underlying mechanics of how it works. So, from a success perspective, I guess it just depends on how you measure that. It's clearly proven out its mission. So that success is already achieved. When it comes to greater growth and greater adoption, well, I mean, we're seeing that every day in real time. And the only thing that I could think of that might slow things down is if there were actually a strong competitor doing specifically the same thing. But no one really does. Most of the people out there who are in the same space, they're specialized around certain niche usages. And no one else has really taken on full decentralization as a core mission.
Yeah, and I guess every new node that is added increases the moat of Pocket, and that's really nice to see every day. I mean, we're getting some really impressive numbers there, as well as the impressive numbers
maybe even 38,000 right now. I mean, literally added almost 1,000 nodes in the last 24 hours.
Does the team have a sweet spot? Do they have a goal in mind of where they kind of want to see that get to?
Well, I mean, the research that they're doing right now is to, what it looks like to manage and maintain consensus in a node with a network with millions of nodes serving up to quadrillions of relays. And that may seem like a crazy number to shoot for, but when you think about the fact that global financial services are already sending trillions of relays daily doing financial lookups, and Pocket has the ability to support a broad segment of that communication. So, as the financial markets continue to adopt blockchain strategies and grow in that direction, the total addressable market size for Pocket just grows every single day. And Michael O'Rourke, the CEO, has a vision for that. He wants to be the TCP/IP of blockchain.
That's beautiful. Because one of the questions I was going to ask is that I've heard chatter about how Pocket isn't just necessarily a solution in crypto. It's a solution for outside of this, the kind of world that we're existing in. And I guess that's what you're referencing there. Is there any other? Is it the bringing of finance onto blockchain?
Well, I mean, it's, I think people hear RPC a lot without understanding what it means. And really, it's just a methodology of how you make an API call, right? RPC calls tend to be very structured and well-defined. They're used frequently in financial applications because they're just very straightforward and easy to secure versus something like a RESTful API, which has a lot of dynamic structure and can be sort of all over the place. But RPC really fundamentally is the backbone of how this data is passed back and forth. And it's not just used in blockchain. Financial applications in mainstream banking and traditional finance use billions to trillions of RPC calls every day. So, anything that's using this well-defined structure of an API could theoretically use Pocket for its backend service.
Amazing. And in the next version, so we tried to keep my channel as accessible as possible from a tech perspective and for myself, because I don't understand a lot of what is discussed in the Node Runner calls, for example. But what specifically in the version 1, I try my hardest, but what specifically in the version 1, what do you feel is the game changer there? Like what attributes are going to make strengthen Pocket's offering there?
I think there's two major things that most people are going to notice the most, and will probably have the greatest impact. One is shifting the rewards model from it being based on volume of relays to maintaining a certain QoS score, and that does two things. A, it makes it a lot more distributed as to where rewards are coming, instead of you hoping to get in session and serve some relays. As long as you're maintaining those QoS scores, it's going to you're going to mint some rewards along the way. But the other is in separating out what they call their fisherman actors. Servicer relay requirements are dropped significantly. I think that the estimation is about 90% reduction in like drive space and such required, because servicer nodes will no longer be required to host a full copy of the Pocket blockchain on their individual nodes. And what this means is that it opens up opportunities for smaller form factor node infrastructure and hardware that is, I think, easier for average people to get into. So it could very well be a case where any business that is crypto connected in the slightest also runs a Pocket node within their own infrastructure, because the requirements just aren't that high.
Nice. I don't know if I misunderstood it, but I also remember reading something about kind of almost a geographical arbitrage. When you have a distributed network of nodes, if you have the node closer to where I don't know, where the lookup needs to be or whatever it may be, those milliseconds count. And if you have that one in Rio, then the Pocket wins the business. Pocket becomes the default RPC lookup solution there. Is that the case?
Well, that's kind of a blend of two things, but there is some geolocality to how requests are served. And if you're in the Pocket network and you are the closest to the requesting dApp, it is likely that your node will be one of the first ones in session as the traffic is routed across the network. And one of the things that the team is doing is they're opening up portals, access points to the network in every city in the world. Essentially, that's what's on their roadmap. So instead of you may be hitting a German entry point when you're somewhere in Europe, you'd be hitting a lot closer entry point to specifically whatever city that you're in.
Awesome. I think the other thing that really helps me to warm to Pocket is that it just seems to be a team of head down and build and be productive during bear markets. It feels like they're honest and they're in it for the tech genuinely, and passionate about building a quality solution and not trying to make money today, knowing that looking at the horizon, not their feet. And I think it fills me with a lot of confidence. Do they have on the other side, do they have like a business development team? Are they going to Polygon and saying, right, this solution would be superior to using Anchor or Infura or whatever it may be? How does that piece work?
I mean, it's funny. They are a very heads down team and very focused. You don't see the hype out there. You'll never see Michael O'Rourke flogging the price of Pocket on markets or any of the rest of those things. They're just very focused on delivering the product. I've worked a lot with Eric Euler over at what they call their opportunities team. I know their biz dev is just constant, but it's behind the scenes and it's long lead time and slow, because when you talk about infrastructure, you're talking about major decisions in how you run your blockchain, and those kinds of things require thoughtful conversations and testing. The onboarding is not fast, but we are seeing the fruit of that. I mean, we've seen chatter in the Node Runner channels for months about additional volume coming from chains and new chains being onboarded and all the rest of that. And I think we're starting to see that now this month. I mean, Polygon is up 200% over the previous month so far. It's on track to become the #1 chain on the network if things keep going the way that they are. And we're seeing, of course, total daily relay volume moving towards new all-time highs. So, it's for everyone who was like, what's happening with Pocket over the first, quarter this year? Clearly, the team was doing their job of getting new chain and app adoption, and we're starting to see that traffic come through. So, I mean, to me, it's been very exciting to watch the growth.
Yeah, for me, I've been looking at the number of relays coming through Polygon, and the fact that token price hasn't really moved, and just been like, I'm shouting like, this is stone cold alpha.
Yeah, I think that's how I felt. Yeah, I felt like that sort of a year ago when they were signing all the contracts. But I'm not as close to the team as Chris is, but I've spoken to a few over the last week, and definitely take a heads down approach. And the whole market pullback they haven't been phased by, and they sort of say they're ahead versus where they thought they'd be a year ago now, despite the market. And I used to think the biggest risk was that it was all tied to Harmony, but you can see if you look at the relays, all the other chains really coming up, I think, as they face their struggles and, are getting a taste of the benefits of using Pocket. But despite the sort of bear market, it's still pushing ahead. I do agree that the frustrating thing is you sometimes see the price, but I think that happened. I remember when they signed sort of 3 major chains back to back. It was like 3 of the biggest 5 chains last year. They announced that they'd signed up, and the price didn't move at all. And it just sort of takes time for the market to wake up. I think one of the things about Poct is it's relatively unknown, and it's a bit of a B2B business, so it takes a while for everyone to kind of learn what's going on, but it's kind of just inevitable. It's a quiet achiever that sort of gets there.
Yeah, I like that, a quiet achiever. Do we have an idea of where more relays may be coming from? Is there any kind of exciting developments, alpha, etc., that you can share of what might be in the pipeline for Pockets in the coming months or quarters?
I will say this.
Come on.
There are 2 things to watch. The top 10 chains that are currently on the network, you're going to see significantly more relays coming through all of them. That's just watch that growth. But when it comes to new chains that are onboarding, Pocket was born out of the Cosmos ecosystem, and there is a significant amount of symbiosis with the rest of that ecosystem. And I would watch for a lot more Cosmos chains to start showing up on that chart.
Okay, cool. I mean, Ethereum celebrates itself as being a decentralized daddy, yet it is so dependent on Infura. I thought among ETH Denver, maybe we'll see some traction on the back of that, but I'm surprised at how little Ethereum looks to use the best decentralized RPC solution out there. It really doesn't marry with the image of decentralization from Ethereum.
Well, one of the things that I've seen from Vitalik and other thought leaders in the Ethereum space is they would rather not require these secondary services at all. They don't downplay or detract from any of the secondary providers, but their vision really seems to be everyone should be running their own Ethereum node. And I mean, I get it. That's a best case scenario, but it's just not realistic. If I'm a multi-chain dApp developer, it's not realistic that I'm going to have 30 boxes in my corporate headquarters to access each chain natively. It's far more likely that I'm going to use some sort of a secondary access service. So far, I mean, even for the largest products out there like MetaMask, that provider has been Infura, and recently Alchemy has been coming up as a major provider in the space. And those are, those services certainly have some pros behind them. You've got, a centralization of architecture, which means that you can optimize and support it well and all the rest of that stuff. So, hey, kudos to what they've achieved. But as we've seen with, the country of Venezuela being locked out of their MetaMask wallet, when you have a centralized provider like that, it completely centralizes the access to that chain. So it doesn't matter how decentralized your chain is if there's only a single access point. Pocket really solves that problem fundamentally.
100% agree. And whilst we're on the Ethereum piece, let's touch just on WPOCT. Quickly, or wrapped Pocket. I think we're quite close to this coming out in the next month or so, perhaps. But there has been some changes. Could you kind of just elaborate on what changes it has and what role it will really play?
Sure. I think, the initial plan for WPocket was to have an LBP around that to generate some liquidity in the space. We've seen a large amount of liquidity get generated in the last 6 months or so, and there's just not really that need anymore to create this big hyped sales event. And secondary to that, regen farming was part of the desired use case for WPocket, and the team was working on an application for that. It's just not as important anymore given the growth that we've seen in the network, and those were goals that were intended to drive growth that's already occurred at this point. That being said, WPocket is great because of the fact that it's a bridgeable ERC20 implementation of Pocket, and that matters in a lot of places. If you're trying to automate distribution of Pocket rewards, for instance, you can't write a smart contract on the Pocket mainnet. It's not an EVM compatible chain. But if you can bridge to WPocket, now you can write some functional logic which can help, address whatever your particular needs are. So WPocket solves a pretty significant need in the EVM space, which is fully decoupled from the actual business of node running. And that's what its core functionality is. I'm very much looking forward to seeing it released.
Me too. I'm looking forward to us being on a tier 1 exchange at some point as well. I'm just trying to see if there's any facial movements there, how close you are to the team. And I finally wanted to say as well that I was fortunate enough to meet Michael when I was in Lisbon, and just wanted to look back to, I feel like the ethos very much comes top down, and he was just a really lovely, ethical, gentle guy. And it feels, he's not driven by money. He's trying to create something beautiful that is beneficial. And I warm to him very much. And so, yeah, I think that kind of ethics really flows through the business. And yeah, there's a lot of things that make me feel very comfortable in making Pokt one of my kind of primary holdings. And one of my primary holdings, what's your second biggest bag? What's your second favorite token?
Rusto?
For me, I have to have a think. Because to be honest, I've almost gone all in on Pokt. I'm trying to think of. I think my next one would have to be Luna, I think, and that's partly just driven by performance. But yeah, I think over the last sort of 6 months, I've found myself selling a lot of my other stuff to just go into Pokt, just, for some of the reasons we outlined before. It's I was playing around with a lot of the sort of layer 1 and 2 chains, and it's trying to pick a winner in kind of, there's just too much going on. Whereas for me, Pocket Network is more of a safer bet that I think, is posting numbers that are frustratingly good that the market hasn't picked up on. But as I said, I think sort of time will tell on that.
Yeah. I feel like I'm going to get a similar answer.
I spread out my crypto across a variety of channels. I mean, I've got a fair amount of BTC and ETH. I've had some that I've sort of been watching for a while since I've expected them to do things. A lot of my holdings have come from greater than a year ago, Cardano and AVAX and some of the other things that had the potential for huge upside, but just waiting to see it. I was back in 2017, 2018, I was very excited by the trading market, but these days I don't mess with it at all, really. I've been so much more focused on what does the future of all of this look like. And so I'm really enjoying the fact that high level ecosystems are being built now, where you have sort of a parent token, and then you have a number of underlying tokens that all sort of work within that systemic flywheel. I think, Ethereum established that model, but we're seeing that in a lot of other places now, like the Cosmos ecosystem, for instance. So I am very interested in a number of Cosmos-based projects. I'll say that.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I guess it is a multi-chain world which Pocket benefits from all. Yeah, I would say my second holding after Pokt is Ethereum, and then Luna isn't far behind with its recent move of late. But I'm particularly excited about Ethereum with the 90% drop in issuance rates in a few months. All right, well, let's segue into chatting a bit about Pocket Pools. So I was saying it's a way of effectively democratizing access. So for those who aren't aware, I'm sure you are if you're this far into this, that you need 15,100 Pokt or so to spin up a node and to generate that yield. And not everyone has that kind of money. And so that's Poktopus, why you created Pocket Pool?
Well, I mean, I actually, Joey Rosati was the one who originally put the whole thing together, and it grew fast enough from being 3 or 4 friends who were just collectively putting some Pocket together to stake on nodes into a whole community where it was like, hey, I want to do this too. We had a lot of people coming in with some people as low as 10 Pocket, and they wanted to be able to participate in collective staking. And so Since that initial little plucky band of folks coming together to collectively stake and on a really basic Google spreadsheet, we're now at a point where we're launching the web application this month, and it's grown to over 45 million Pocket staked collectively via the pool. So, and that's really just in the last 3 to 4 months. It's been extraordinary growth.
Wow. Congratulations. I created a pool as well amongst friends, and I'm at that spreadsheet phase, and it's terrifying. It's so hard to keep on top of it, and I bet you've lived through this pain that I'm kind of going through right now, trying to keep up with it. I'm almost just tempted to give it all to you, to be honest. So the idea of an automated process, can you tell us more about what you're looking, what that will be, what you'll be offering there, and when that might be available?
So one of the things that has always been a challenge, I think, is reporting. And, in breaking it out into a web app, we're taking all the processes that we've used along the way and of course, incorporating them in a very familiar interface, that people are used to using, a series of forms on a website. Probably one of the most important things to the average staker in the pool is the fact that there's personalized dashboard reporting. Our spreadsheets for reporting have always been a pain, given how many people there are on there now, and trying to scroll down and find your name. And we're always seeing, people saying, I can't find my, my entry. What happened? Where's it at? And you'll have, a lifeguard pop up and say it's line 1254 or whatever. Moving reporting to individual based on your individual stake. I mean, I think that by itself is a game changer. We've moved away from open and closed tranches when it comes to deposit times. We still use those twice weekly tranche schedules for reporting and sweeps and such, but you'll just be able to deposit at any point in time through the web app into the next round of staking. It's not going to require that hands-on manual processing. It's all just being done. We literally have our own cluster of nodes that we use to store and process those requests, whether it's a stake or a sweep or a withdrawal. All that's being done in our own Pocket infrastructure that we're running as well. So yeah, it takes away all the pain points, I think, that have come about from a rapidly growing pool of what used to just be a handful of friends.
I guess it's fantastic that it's grown so much. The compounding effect of Fox as well. Excellent. Well, should we?
Yeah.
Sorry. You go.
I'm just going to say, you could, and the ability to have, twice a week deposits of native Pocket to your wallet,
Yeah, absolutely. All right, should we talk about this new exciting project, Pocket Rockets, then, and really bring you into this, Mark? Sorry.
Yeah, right. I mean, I got into this sort of late last year when I was actually trying to figure out how to build my own nodes and sort of getting very deep into Pocket and how it all works. And I actually at one point I think gave Pocket a call and was looking at trying to find a job there, but they're pretty furiously trying to find engineers and software developers, which I am not. So we mess around with doing our own nodes. We've successfully spun up a few of them. But to the point of Pocket Pool, which Chris actually holds a lot of my Pockets, so I'm very invested in the pool. You do get days where one or two nodes will do 0 returns, and then days where they'll do really well. So it's better to run a pooling sort of thing. And I've gone and done the same thing where I've got a bunch of friends now, and we've syndicated in and made a bit of a pool and do the nightmares of a spreadsheet, which is really fun. But off the back of that, I basically just thought, I want to be involved in Pocket in some way, but I'm not an engineer, and the pool's already firing, and was very into NFTs at the time, and realized there was sort of none there. And I sort of, the main thing that was I feel was a great idea around Pocket and sort of the Pocket Rockets was, I'd say 99% of NFT projects I see out there are kind of 2D animal-based art that has no real utility behind it. Everyone promises you that you'll have some sort of share in some random club in Morocco that you've never heard of, and it's just all false promises and things like that. So we thought a great one, at the time, and still as it picks up, I'm sure it'll improve. Pocket sort of node running rewards have been fantastic, and it's a great way to build some actual utility and support the Pocket network and run nodes. And So yeah, we sort of set up a sort of NFT project where I think we tried to do the art, 3D and a bit different to your standard stuff that's out there, and have some real utility there. So one of them obviously being is that we run our own Pocket nodes and we sort of distribute rewards to NFT holders. And the other one, which is a bit more down the line, once we've sold enough of the NFTs to sort of be able to afford it, is building a bit of a metaverse space station. At the moment, it's sort of tabled for Decentraland, and we'll build a space station where sort of the Pocket community and NFT holders can hang out. But yeah, we'll see if Decentraland's still the dominant one by the time we get there, and so it's not locked away. But that's sort of the plan.
Yeah, making those bets on the metaverse is extremely difficult right now, isn't it? It's very 2000.
I think it's there's definitely going to be a metaverse world out there, but I don't know if the big ones now will be the big ones in a year.
Yeah. So my understanding of Pocket Rockets from a utility perspective is that you're going to be taking 25% of the sales proceeds to spin up nodes, and then that's going to be generating an income that's distributed to some of the NFT holders. And those rewards, are they going to be based on community input and, I guess, helping to evangelize Pocket to some extent? I mean, is it like a flywheel there? Is that the kind of concept?
The 25% is sort of just a rough that's in our white paper. At the moment, we're doing basically 100% as we're in early days, and hopefully we'll do more. We'll be distributing sort of the vast majority of it, and about 20% or so will be compounding into more nodes to keep building out the network. The way we went about this is we've gone for a very open, fully doxed approach, and we've incorporated a company in Australia. And the thoughts behind that has been, rather than do things anonymously and whip things up quickly, take the pains and work with lawyers and accountants to set everything else up properly, because I think node running and staking is a long-term gain, and we want to be here for the long term. And I think there are some cool projects we can do off the back of it with other NFTs. So yeah, we've sort of put in the efforts to do everything right. So one of the points of that is trying to avoid being seen as a financial product, which I think is going to be a thing that a lot of people are getting cracked down on with the SEC and things like that. So one of the key sort of things there is, I think if you equally distribute all of your rewards to all holders, it's sort of a calculatable outcome, and you're really making an investment decision. And so one of the things we always say is, if you're looking at sort of maximizing your node running returns and earning as many rewards as you can, buying these NFTs wouldn't be the way to go. I'd recommend going into the Pokt pool. And, so there's sort of twofold here is, yes, you do get exposure to node running returns, but also it's a sort of great way to buy some cool art and show your, support of the Pocket network. And, in theory, as Pocket grows and the art becomes in more demand, you might be able to make a profit off that, of sort of capital appreciation. But the way we do the node running returns distribution is that you need to sort of participate in growing the sort of awareness of the project. And so we've kept that very simple. So it's not a simple, you buy the NFT and you get immediate returns, but we've kept it very simple where you simply sort of quote retweet a tweet that we'll do once a month, and that'll show you helping sort of market and bring awareness to the project. And those people who sort of actively participate will have a sort of share of the reward. So it's kept simple, but it's not just a straightforward buy it, own it, and make a return from it.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. And I love how much you have done the due diligence from the foundational piece of ensuring that this, how it's recognized from the SEC perspective and things like that. So it makes me feel good. There's so much shit out there, and it's just nice to know that this is, it's a considered, well-built project. It makes me, gives you that warm, fuzzy NFT feel.
I think, I deep down, I know it's going to be the right approach for the long term, but it is bloody painful doing things slowly and correcting and watching sort of all these cheap cash grabs go and disappear, come and disappear. And So I think it's the right decision for the long run, but it's painful at the moment.
It's the Pocket approach.
Yeah,
do it right.
Started a talk. Yeah, exactly. It not sexy, not just flash in the pan, but really grinding out the underlying fundamentals of what's required to make a sustainable product. And when I first started talking about NFTs on Twitter some months back, and Mark reached out, that was one of the things I think in our first call that I made very clear, from my side. Anything that we're involved in that we want to build needs to be driven by that same sort of strong sense of fundamentals. It needs to have the integrity built in. It can't be some flash in the pan thing that is just a rug pull. I mean, that would be anathema to everything that we stand for. And I'm super impressed with what the Pocket Rockets team has been able to accomplish over the course of this time, and really to put that groundwork in and make sure that there's something here that can last for the long term.
Fantastic. I think integrity is the word. Brilliant.
If I were to do anything different, though, I'd move into the US time zone. Because that seems to be where it is. So I basically work all night and sleep all day now.
Is that your way of saying, let's wrap this up? It's 2:30 in the morning, please.
No, absolutely not. I'm actually having fun, and I've learned a lot off Chris just off this call. So we normally talk about sort of cartoon rockets in our calls. So it's been nice to hear about Pocket in general.
How many are there in the team, and who's done the art, and what's your role in it? And
yeah, so I sort of brought everything together. I think in the art team there are two. There's sort of Trevor, our 2D sort of artist and drawer. He's a Kiwi guy that sort of serendipitously was a friend living in Sydney, who I got stuck into this, and I was trying to find an artist, and not finding anyone who was. I looked on all these sort of online websites and things to try to find one. No one was doing anything really that special. And weirdly, I remembered a friend he was a neighbor. He always told me that he drew a lot of Marvel art, and he always wanted to do fan art, and he wanted to be an artist, but he was a carpenter. And, I think I reached out to him one day, and he, about 2 weeks earlier, had a rogue trampolining accident and broken his leg and couldn't work for 2 months. And I said, well, do you want to come draw some rockets with me? And I just head down for 2 months and did that. And then, to give it sort of that, more sort of an X factor, we had all the rockets 3D modeled by Lucas, a guy in Brazil, who did really great work putting that together. And so, yeah, that's an art team of two. And we've sort of got teams all over the place now. So it's a lot of outsourced work where, there's the lawyers, the accountants. We've got a web team. We use Block 8, who are kind of the Australia's leading sort of Web3 development team. And it's been their first NFT project, which has been sort of great to work with them. They really know their stuff, but it's a much smaller project than what they're used to doing. They kind of help people build layer 1 chains and things like that. So getting them to do my NFT smart contract was a small project, but I think we're having a lot of fun with it.
I feel like it reminds me of the quote of, being entrepreneurs, like jumping off a cliff and building the jumbo jet or rocket, in this case, on the way down. And I bet you've learned so much throughout this endeavor that opening all these doors that you've never normally thought about.
Absolutely. It's been an amazing journey from that perspective for myself. Doing this, it's kind of like a nice balance between doing art and business, because the underlying utility is building infrastructure nodes, but then at the same time you're trying to make art and make it look cool. And talking to Chris, we're very confident on the project as the utility proves itself over the long term, and as Pocket Network itself grows. I think the project will go well, and we've had some chats about further things we want to do, and I think one of them off the back of it is, now that we've really learned a lot, we could do another project in a much more efficient way. We've had chats about, and this is provided that we sell out this project and it goes well, sort of doing a second project where we have the rockets and we'd do something like another project with the Rocketeers in a similar style. I think with that, given what we've learned, we'd be able to allocate a much higher percentage towards building nodes as we keep costs down this time, as we had to sort of do a lot of costs on kind of percentage of profits kind of thing as we land. But one of the cool things we wanted to look at is you'd have your rocket and your rocketeer, and then similar to sort of the mutant ape serum, you could, if you bought one of each and upload it to a website, you could merge them and create kind of what we want, down the line is like a really beautiful 3D art kind of piece that would sort of merge the two together. So that will be just sort of a fun next step of the journey that would dive a lot more into that really creative art space, which would be cool.
Fantastic. Was there a reason you chose Polygon to mint on? Is that just to avoid on gas fees there, or does it lend itself in any other way?
Chris's very strong preference for environmentally friendly chains, not doing proof of work. But the main thing is, it sort of shot us in the foot a little bit in that we did it also to save our users gas fees was a big reason for it. But then it probably cost us a lot of sales, and that it was a nightmare trying to teach a lot of users who hadn't used Polygon how to use Polygon. So we probably had a lot of people drop off from not being able to figure that out, which we've improved and created a bit of a tutorial video. But again, it was just the ethos of do the right thing for the customers and users and things like that. And it was save on gas fees, and that helps.
I love the transparency, and it all just helps with integrity and trust for the project. It's commendable. It's refreshing in this space.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, anything else to either of you would like to add or discuss, or should we let poor Mark get some sleep?
I'll just add as a final thought that, we're seeing a lot of movement out there in development of these, virtual spaces and the growing rise of P2E and L2E type projects. And, having something where you've got a layer of fun and art over the top of a functional layer is a really good example of what I think the future of that space looks like. We've got opportunities to do node staking. We've got opportunities to do collective fractional staking in pools. But here's a way that you can participate in the NFT space and have the fun aspect of the art and the additional community on top of it, and a roadmap in the future that maybe could be rolled into metaverse gaming or things along that line, depending on how it evolves over time. And at the end of the day, it's still underneath all of it supporting that core Pocket protocol and participating in securing and strengthening the network. And that kind of three-dimensional approach to it, I think, is really where we start to see the evolution of the next generation of Pocket, as a community that has 30 different faces and has multiple points of accessibility, even though at its basis, it's sort of a dry engineering product,
That's a really excellent point, and I never even considered that. Potentially, for all we know, it's going to be a fun play-to-earn rocket game that we have on our phones, and high scores get rewarded, popped for doing it. And all, as you say, it all just helps to build and evangelize a product which, as you say, could be dry and hard to interpret, but through communication, through gaming and rewards. Yeah, very cool.
Chris touched on it very well. I can sort of close out to my end with it is one thing I was shocked at when I started this project and sort of over the weeks as it grew was the community side to it. So I've been amazed reading the Discord, which normally has a lot more action while I'm asleep, as it's a lot of the users are in the States, but I kind of wake up each morning and have a quick flick through, and it's been awesome watching from over the space of about a month and a half, going from nothing to watching a bit of a thriving community in Discord. So, that's something we've got a lot of strong users, and, if anyone has any questions on the product, I'd suggest just jumping on there, and there's a lot of great users who are very friendly there, and it's been awesome to watch them kind of come into their own and sort of lead that element of the project, which has been great.
And I've noticed it spilling over into my Discord channels because I'm seeing a few rocket profile pictures in my Discord channels as well. You'd be glad to hear.
Oh, we'll have to get you on then if you haven't already.
Absolutely. You've read my mind.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it's really lovely speaking with you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for taking the time. It's been great, and yeah, hopefully we can chat again in a year or so and see where we are with the project, and yeah, and celebrate. Or maybe I'll see you in Punta Cana actually.
Yeah.
And finally,
Great. Hopefully we get down there. Yeah.
We are very spread across the world, but any plans to come to Europe or London? We were talking on Twitter a bit about doing something in Lisbon or London at some point with Pocket.
A lot of the Pocket team is going to be at the AVAX conference in Barcelona here in a week or so.
Really?
So if you'd like to meet the team in person, definitely show up out there. Once I'm ahead of some of the projects that I'm trying to get wrapped up now, I'm planning on doing my own European tour. So I will certainly reach out to everyone. And it would be great to be, I love your videos. So it'd be great to be on the channel with an in-person interview at some point in time. I'll certainly keep you posted on that. And I've never been to Australia, so I'm hoping that Rusto is going to show me the way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we haven't let non-Australians in for about 2 years, but with COVID, but I think that's changing now. So people are starting to start coming this way, which is nice.
Awesome, gentlemen. Well, sleep well, Mark. It's already tomorrow for you, very firmly, and have a lovely day, Chris. And yeah, look forward to meeting you guys IRL someday in the future.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. This has been great.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
Thank you much.
Cheers. Bye.